So here are the practical steps of rewriting or co-creating your new story. You're going to write a shared vision. And at first I was like, oh, should I have people do this separately and then they come together? But I just feel like then you miss out on the process. So I really want couples to do this together. You're writing a shared vision for what intimacy could look like moving forward. And there might be some give and take, right? Because we will have very different ideas of what that could be. But the idea is to come up with those common themes so that you guys can get into actionable goals. Like, how do we make this happen? Date nights, more non-sexual touch, making sure we're talking about our physical intimacy often throughout the week that most people don't do, right? And so you're doing this shared vision of what that looks like. And I felt like at first, I was like, oh, I bet EJ is going to want something so differently than me. I was thinking more of it because I'm such a non-sexual affection kind of person. But when we did it and we talked about it and we actually wrote it down, it actually feels very doable and it feels very comfortable for both of us.
It was similar but different, so we define what do we want in our intimate relationship. And for you, it was a lot about affection.
Physical affection.
It was physical, non-sexual affection. It was when we're away from the kids. Yeah. It was even, sometimes at work, it was public displays of affection. Like that makes you feel
like fun little
really
hugs.
safe and loved.
Yeah.
And for me, it was about
presence.
It was about presence. It was about it was that kind of intellectual intimacy of we talk about things, and also just I think just attention. It was just about like this right now, like eye contact.
Yeah.
Like that makes me feel connected with you, which is interesting because you used to drive you crazy in times of conflict when I wouldn't make eye contact.
Right.
And so it was like the very thing I wanted from you, I was unable to give you. That's kind of interesting, right?
Yes. And the idea too, though, around like expressing what our needs were, because I think you asked me, what are the top ways?
What are the top 3 ways that I can express my affection towards you?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I love that question. It was like a kiss on the forehead, a big hug, like even a goofy hug. Mine is more playful affection. And then I got to hear you. But the idea is that if we keep doing that on a daily basis, our physical intimacy, when it comes to even the more intimacy parts of it, like having sex or foreplay or whatever, it's just going to feel natural because we're trying to meet each other's needs amongst a busy life, amongst, many different factors. And so I feel like that is our shared vision, is if we keep doing this every single day, that our physical intimacy is going to feel very comfortable and natural. I'm not going to have resentments. I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, he hasn't given me any hugs today. Like I won't be there anymore. But we also have to remind each other, because EJ said, Tara, physical affection is not natural to me. I am like the most affectionate love bug. I love touching and hugging and feeling, and that's just not you. And so I have to be okay with that, right? And let you remind you. Maybe daily.
Well, that was a question. So we set these bigger goals around okay, what do you want in our intimate relationship? What do I want? And then we talked about, okay, how do we do that? How do we implement it? And you identified an obstacle that I agreed with, that once I get out of the house and I get into the day, I get distracted. And you were like, so if I've told you this is a day that's important to me to get affection, and you are distracted, how do I remind you? And mine was if it's a day where I really want to have your attention, how do I ask you to get your attention?
Yeah, that's so important. Being okay. So you're going to be writing your narrative, and you also have to be able to say, it's okay to ask for what I need. Oh. It's a new programming in your brain. And the more you can ask for it, the likelihood of your partner saying, absolutely, I got you, is huge. It's just not our natural tendency.
Yes. And really what it speaks to also is like shifting from like within your relationship, a culture of blame and resentment to collaboration, that we're working on this together, that we know what each other want, we know what we need, and we support each other in meeting each other's wants and needs.
And I feel like this is a great kind of closing to this, but it's that, right, wherever you've been, whatever has happened between you and your partner, you know, in your physical intimacy, forgiveness, right? That we didn't have it right. We didn't know the skills. We didn't know how to talk about it. We weren't vulnerable, but forgiveness of what was, you know, and not forgetting it, forgiveness, parts of us that we didn't know. And then gratitude that we're still here together, ready to talk about it and create something new. That is like the energy I'm hoping everybody brings into this when they do it. Forgiveness of the self, of the partner, and a gratitude, a sense of gratitude.
Well, and I can express to you that I'm grateful that we both stuck with it, and that that you looked at yourself and I looked at myself, and that we created that culture within our relationship of growth. I'm grateful for that. We wouldn't be here without it.
No, and I mean, for anybody listening, EJ and I would not have been able to do this, you know, years ago. So knowing that we stuck with it, we are very intentional. Yes, I know it's also our job, but that there is another side. I think a lot of people feel hopeless and powerless and this will never work. I've felt that 1,000 trillion times. Ask me how many times I'm like, I cannot do this anymore. I am done. But there is something there and you just keep doing it, and then it falls into more of a natural rhythm and a new story. And you do have new programming now. And so again, whatever podcast we're doing, whatever exercise we're kind of sharing, it's all in an attempt to know that it is possible. Change is possible, even at an individual level, but again, for the sake of the couple.
Yeah.